Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Rafiat.
Yeah, good morning. Are we set?
Yes.
Okay.
Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning, good people from all over Africa. Good morning, every participant that is on this program. It's a beautiful morning here from the city of Osogbo, where I'm based. I'm currently based, where I'm going to be anchoring the program from. It's my pleasure to welcome us all to the Farm Connect Institute of Data and Agriculture Studies webinar with the theme, Big Data Ecosystem, what is the need for stakeholders in Nigeria agricultural industry? And of course, it's a program that will focus discussion around big data and how we could apply it in agricultural setting in Nigeria. My name is Rashid Ademola Adebiyi. As I've said, I'm going to be the anchor of this program. It's about an hour plus program because I'm not going to waste your time. So I want to welcome everybody. I can see good people here. The chief webinar planner is here, Ismail Tiamiyu. I can see Oluke Balogun, As Something Living for God Alone, Adeza Suleiman. That's going to be our workshop facilitator. You are welcome. Ayotunde Oderide, you are welcome. Benga you are welcome. Sheriff Aliu, and of course, Okwemi Samuel. I want to welcome all of you to this program. As a way of creating some background for this program, it is a quarterly webinar that is organized by Farm Connect Institute for Data and Agricultural Studies, FIDAS. FIDAS is an arm of Farm Connect Nigeria, an agri-tech company that is fixing the friction between important stakeholders in the agricultural sector. You are all welcome. I have, yes, I can see Tekedia Institute is there. Tekedia Institute is headed by our own prof, Professor Ndubuisi Ekekwe. He's a renowned driver of growth and innovation, and he's doing wonderfully well in the Tekedia Institute. And of course, I'm happy to again be anchoring a program where he's featuring. In my language here, we say, which literally means that you don't kill a deer twice. So for me to have anchored a program where Prof is appearing twice in the first quarter of 2021 is a blessing for me in a way. So I'm privileged to welcome Prof. He's going to be the keynote, he's going to give us the keynote for the program. So everything is set right now, and we will go into the program of event. As I've said, we have 1.5 hours to spend on this program. So once again, I welcome us all. Data is the new oil of the global economy. And for followers of Prof. Ndubuisi Ekekwe, who is going to keynote this program, you will understand that he keeps on saying that data could fix a lot of frictions in industry, regardless of wherever industry you are operating from. Forbes, in its 2018 article, talked about the importance of data to our lives. It touched on gaming, it talks about artificial intelligence, it talks about travel experience, it talks about health. So in almost every sector of our life, data is important. And that's why what FIDAS is doing is greatly important. I want to welcome us all. I don't want to waste much of our time. As I said, we are going to strictly adhere to time here. So I'm going to call on the webinar chief planner to give us a short welcome speech that should last about 5 minutes or thereabout. Ismail Tiamiyu, who is the lead for research and training at Farm Connect. is coming on to welcome us all to this program. Ismail Tamiu.
Yeah, all right, sir. Good morning, everyone. It's a very beautiful morning here in Nigeria, wherever you are in the world listening and watching us from. My name is Ismail. I'm the head research and development unit, Farm Nigeria. And it's a great pleasure to welcome you all to this maiden edition of our quarterly webinar series. Now, this is a platform whereby we discuss topical issues as it affects the nation's economy, and how we as a nation could actually chart a way through from where we are to where we want to be. The topic for today's discussion, big data ecosystem. What is the need for stakeholders in the agricultural industry? Trust me, we've got with us industry experts who in the next couple of hours will be doing a lot of justice to the topic. You will agree with me that it is no longer news how the big data economy has been revolutionizing the work industry. For an economy that is projected to reach around 13 trillion US dollars by 2030, you and I would only appreciate the significant data rush that is taking place across almost all sectors of the economy. And the agricultural industry is not an exception. The share of agriculture and agribusiness industry in the global data market was put at around 600 million US dollars as of 2018. And the figure is estimated to increase to 1.5 billion US dollars by 2025 or 2030. And, while that may, sound, interesting to us from the global perspective, there's a serious call for concern to us in Africa, because Africa is seriously lagging in the new data economy. You look at it from whatever dimension or perspective that you want to look at it from, whether in terms of infrastructural architecture, in terms of the depth of human capacity, the degree of social responsiveness of our people, and the general, policy framework of the continent. Africa seriously has some catch up to do with regards to the new data economy. And in 2019, for instance, the Harvard Business Review and the World Economic Forum produced a list of data producing countries of the world. And out of about 100 countries that were mentioned, South Africa was the only African country that appeared on that list. And that reflects the depth of the digital data skill gap in Africa. So FIDAS, Farm Connect Institute for Data and Agribusiness Studies, is founded to bridge that frictions in Africa's agricultural industry. The mission of FIDAS is to enable ability and capacity of using data and insight for stakeholders' knowledge towards improving sustainable food security in agricultural value chain. Yes, I would like to stop here for our speakers to take it up from there. And I want to give you my sincere word. The speakers that we have here, Professor Ndubisi Ekwekwe, Mr. Aziz Oluwole, and Mr. Adeiza Suleiman from Tenalytics are actually rare intellectuals that you actually want to hear from. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ismail Tamiu, for that short welcome address. I believe that our participants are well and properly primed to actually have a grasp of what is going to take place here as we roll on today. You have said something very, very important. And I think that today we begin a conversation around how to use big data for issues such as land use, land cover mapping, security, production, cultivation, harvesting, management, storage, and those issues that are pertinent to agriculture and food security in Africa. Thank you for that welcome address. Again, it's important when we have a program of this nature to have people that are going to speak. And of course, it's also very, very important for us to create some background so that those who are joining us will understand the caliber of people that are coming to facilitate the discussion that we are having here today. As I've said in my opening introduction, Professor Ndubusekekwe is going to keynote this particular webinar. I'm sure that those of us who have followed him knows that Ekekwe is a bundle of talent, is a growth and innovation driver, and of course, he talks a lot about data. Professor Ndubusekekwe is the lead faculty of Tekedia Institute, all the way from Boston in the United States of America. He's an inventor. He patented a robotics system, which is the United States government acquired its assignee rights. Professor Ekekwe holds two doctoral degrees and 4 master's degrees, including a PhD in engineering from the prestigious Johns Hopkins University in the USA. He earned an undergraduate degree from Federal University of Technology, Owerri, where he graduated as his class best student. While as a member of, as a worker in Analog Devices Corps, it co-designed an accelerometer for the iPhone. Is a recipient of IGI Global Book of the Year Award, is a TED Fellow, is an IBM Global Entrepreneur and World Economic Forum Young Global Leader. And of course, he has held professorships in Carnegie Mellon University in the US, and of course, in Babcock University right here in Nigeria. He is called by the South African press as a doctor of innovation for helping organizations on the mechanics of business innovation strategy and growth. And since 2009, he has chaired the FAMISCRO group, which controls many startups and entities. And of course, he has been writing for the Harvard Business Review. Just recently in 2020, in October last year, at the period when Nigeria was celebrating its 68th independence anniversary, Prof was recognized as one of 60 Nigerians making Nigerian lives matter on Nigeria's 68th Independence Day. So I can tell you that we have brought a big fish to keynote the program. Prof, you are welcome once again, sir.
Okay, thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I will also introduce the chief host. Mr. Aziz Oluwole is the founder of Farm Connect Agribusiness Nigeria Limited. He's president at Agricultural Social Entrepreneurship Foundation. He's an agricultural expert, he's a consultant, maritime security expert, greenhouse consultant, and of course, is interested in agriculture and agri-tech training. Mr. Aziz Oluwole, you are welcome, sir, to the webinar. And of course, before we get to the workshop session, okay, I guess Mr. Oluwole wanted to respond to my.
I just want to say thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir. You are welcome. It's a pleasure to also meet you once again, sir. Yes, our workshop session is going to be anchored by Mr. Sulaiman Adeza. Adeza is a self-driven professional. He has a very strong background in data analytics and management consulting. He has over 6 years experience cutting across diverse sectors like oil and gas, power, financial services, and edtech. His focus is usually on developing innovative solutions to solve complex business problems and deliver intelligence to advance opportunity identification and corporate growth. As we speak, Mr. Adeza is currently supporting 4 companies within the Sahara Power Group by designing key performance measures, tracking and monitoring performance, recommending data-driven solutions to ensure that all companies are efficient and deliver commercial growth. So I want to say that everyone here today, we have value for their time. We have value for their time and data this afternoon. you are all welcome. So we are proceeding, and we are moving on to the next item on the program. After we have had the keynote, the webinar chief planner welcome speech. But of course, before I call on the chief host to give us a speech, I want to recognize some of our important friends that have joined us here this morning. I can see Mary Abiola Dejumo, you are welcome. I can see Mr. Mutiu Yoda, Mary Adidigba, and of course, my good friend from the UK, Dr. Emmanuel Mogaji. You are all welcome, and everyone who is joining us for this webinar. Rafiat Additional, I'm sure all of you will have very beautiful time in the next couple of minutes, in the next 1.5 hours that are going to be having this program. So it is now my turn to call on the chief host, Mr. Aziz Oluwole, to come and give a speech. Mr. Oluwole, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Very good morning to the anchor, to the chief planner. And I want to also acknowledge the presence of Professor Ekekwe. It's a great privilege to be on the same platform with him again today. I count it a great honor. When I decided to go into agriculture, I looked at so many things. Okay, what can we do differently? How can we make agriculture a better place? The industry a better place. I've been into farming since as a child. So I grew up as a, please, I'm not sure. Can you hear me? Hello?
We can hear you. We can hear you loud and clear. Yes.
Okay. I had to put down the video so as to not to affect the streaming speed. So I started asking questions. I sat on the internet. I did so many things. I didn't have sufficient information. I didn't have sufficient data to drive my decision process. So it became more like I just have to look for people who had experience. I just have to, do trial and error in some places, in some situations and everything. There are institutes, there are schools, there are experts there and there, but we don't even have sufficient information on flying around. So from the beginning, I said something. Now, before I say if I even get there, I remember in 2010 also, while I was in the armed forces, I was doing a course on military police corps. I was to join the military police corps. This is why I was doing a course. And while I was doing the course, I went to the library to look at books that were written by generals that have retired. And the library was empty. And I said to myself, the reason why we can't move forward is because the people who had made discovery and mistakes ahead of us did not write it down for us to learn from it, meaning that we'll all repeat their mistakes and errors. So that haunted me to now got into agriculture, and I didn't have sufficient data. There was no so much. You can have some research books from some people who are just individuals at different levels and everything. I discovered that the farmers are so uninformed, and majority of them are even illiterate. And I could identify that there is a big problem. Whenever we shout food security or anything, when you put money in the hand of a blind farmer, he's going to throw it away, number one. Then another thing I looked at was the issue of knowledge. How much do people know about what is happening in agricultural space and how agriculture is advancing very fast? Also was not there. Then the third thing was, okay, knowledge. They have the knowledge they have about finance, how to turn agriculture into a business. Because once agriculture is just about planting, harvesting, and selling, it's not going to have much economic impact as we expect. Even food security cannot be fully attained. People need to understand the business of agriculture and how to link one part of the value chain to the other. Putting all of this together, then I decided one day that, okay, when Farm Connect stabilizes a bit, we need to have a system that helps to expose people to the potential of agriculture. And the only thing I believe in that will facilitate such level of development is education. People wiping out the ignorance, bridging the gap that ignorance causes. And that was what led us to Farm Connect Institute of Data and Agribusiness Studies. And of course, at some point, there will be need for us to even have the data. You tell people about how important data is, then how do they get the data? This is what led us to even establishment of FIDAS, which is Farm Connect Agricultural Electronic Extension Service. Now, currently the two units are going, which will be open. These are co-located in the same place, where we can actually get real-time data about agriculture, not just about planting or plants, not about animal husbandry or animals, but about the industry at large. And then in the classroom, we can use it, and we can expose people to diversities of knowledge and of data that can help us in the food and agricultural industry. Now, this is the foundation of FIDAS and FIDAS. And as we began to work together, I had, like minds can unleash a lot of potential. Working with people like Okwe Samuel, Ismail, in this line, we saw the great potential and impact that we can make. And then we had invested a lot of money into that. Now, because when we look at agriculture in another 5 years, and we have not positioned Africa towards maximizing that potential because we are blind about all of the better big data or the minutest information, very soon we will be losing that industry completely, because we're already losing it gradually. The way we lost education, the way we lost entertainment, the way we lost media, the way we lost oil and gas, the way we lost communication, we're going to lose agriculture. None of us have money. We take our money into real estate, we take it to out of the country, we take it to every other thing, and then we take it to oil and gas, because people are not so conversant with the power that agriculture holds. They don't have any idea. And when they even have interaction with the farmers are themselves blind. So the future of Nigeria sits a lot on the ability to unleash the potential agriculture and the food value chain holds. And one key thing that will take us there is bridging the gap of knowledge in that industry, and of course, gathering a lot of data. Maybe the impact of data might not even be fully felt in the first year, 2 years, but what happens 5 years' time, 10 years, 15 years, 30 years' time? So someone has to set the pace. And we decided that, okay, it's not just about farming and farming big. It's also important that we institutionalize the data system for agriculture, so that people become conscious of it, they become aware of it, and then they work together. And we are open. We want to partner with as many organizations as possible. When he told me about analytics, I said, well, I'm looking forward to this day, so that we can talk on how we can work together. When you talk about other institutions like Lagos Business School, Tekedia Institute, and all of this, we are not trying to reinvent the wheel of creating a new course or new work, but we want to work together with existing organizations. We will only fill the gaps that maybe nobody is filling. We work together and we look at how we can drive our country forward and how we can inspire and activate the mind, also empower young youth and women to become great players in the agricultural value chain across the borders of countries in Africa. I would not want to say more than this. I want to say thank you so much for the privilege you give to me to speak.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate the speech. And I think those who are on the webinar right now are already looking forward to what the webinar, the knowledge that the webinar will give to them. You have said a lot, and you have emphasized the fact that for us to ensure food security in Nigeria, in Africa, we need to include data. I mean, in essence, we are talking about data-driven agriculture, where farmers use data-driven insights to make decisions on when to sow, when to reap, when to market, when to store, when to distribute, and all. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think we can overemphasize the power of data in agriculture and food security in Africa. The next item on the schedule of program is the keynote speech. And of course, that is going to be done by our own renowned professor of innovation, as is dubbed by the South African press, because he has, over the years, been working assiduously to ensure that organizations all over the world, in Africa, in developing countries of the world, are fixing the frictions that are facing them in their different sectors where they are operating. Without repeating myself, because I've introduced him, I've said a lot of things about him. And for those who are just joining us, Professor Undubuse Ekekwe is joining us right away from Boston in the United States of America. He's the lead faculty in Tekedia Institute. He talks about innovation, he talks about growth, he talks about economic development. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to bring onto the stage the keynote speaker for this webinar, our own Professor Undubuse Ekekwe. Prof, you are welcome, sir.
Okay, so thank you so much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's quite a moment and privilege to have this opportunity of coming here to have this conversation. I want to begin by thanking Mr. Oluwole. I think we in the military, because I'm from Ovimi in Abia State, we have so many military people there. Everyone that has served, we call it general. So, sir, we want to thank you so much for your service to a beautiful nation, Nigeria, and also for this higher call that you are doing through Farm Connect. And to all the participants and panelists, I want to say thank you so much. I'm speaking from United States of America today. I'm so excited to be in your midst. So I will have a conversation today on big data ecosystem. And I will just share my slide here. Please, could you give me access to share a slide? And what I will be discussing here is the purpose of data and why data will build the empires of the future. Admin, can you help me with sharing of screen, please? It's currently deactivated. You could just make me a co-host. I think that will activate it. Are you there?
Mr. Ismail.
Okay. Ismail, are you there?
Oh, I'm bringing the toilet back.
Yes,
okay,
I'm with
okay,
you,
great.
I'm with you.
Okay, so I think he has done that. Yeah.
The ones you don't know, I'll teach you.
You could also mute people there. I think we have some background noise there. If you could mute them. Thank you. Okay, thank you. So once again, thank you so much, Mr. Oluwole. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for the invitation from all the community members. I will speak today on big data ecosystems in Africa. And let me take you back to the old history. If you go back to some of the works that Pythagoras and other great thinkers postulated many centuries ago. During the great debate of the material component of the universe, when philosophers were trying to answer this question, what is the material component of universe? In other words, what is the world made up of? You know, if you go back, Tells says that the world is basically made up of water. So according to him, everything on earth is nothing but water. And Heraclitus would say that the world, for him, is made up of fire, because fire can burn everything. But I like what Pythagoras said, the guy that gave us the Pythagoras theorem that in a right angle triangle, that if you take the individual squares of the opposite and adjacent, sum them together, get a square hypotenuse. Pythagoras said that the world is made up of numbers. So if the world is made up of numbers, what that means is this, that everything we do on earth is nothing but numbers. The business of medicine is numbers. The business of agriculture is numbers. The business of accounting is numbers. At any point in time, that if you can make it easy for people to understand the numbers in their businesses, that those people will thrive in that specific domain. So when you come into medicine, if you give doctors more data to understand the human systems, those doctors will make better decisions. If you go into trading and you give data to those traders to understand what they're doing, those traders will do better. And if you come into agriculture and you now make it possible for farmers to understand the numbers around what they are doing in agriculture, they are going to also do very well. So it becomes elemental constructs in business systems, that the more data you have, the more insights you have about your business. So the numbers of farms are the numbers of nations. And the numbers of nations are the growth drivers that actually change the trajectories of economic opportunity. Because in market systems, there are two things which are evident. You have the demand, you have the supply. And between the demand and supply, they have to come into a near perfect equilibrium point for them to do things. In agriculture, the supplier is the man or woman that wants to go and provide the products that is demand has to buy. So somebody wants to eat. Somebody has to make that product. Somebody has to go into the farm and somebody has to plant the maize. But how can you plant the maize if you do not know the need that arises in the market? So farmers need to understand the frictions the customers have. Farmers need to understand what the market actually needs. If you go into Saudi Arabia and you want to plant fig, raise pig, you are not likely to be successful because many people there do not eat pig. So the point is this, that the data in that market is going to be extremely critical for you to understand the opportunity in that market. And then even when you have understood the opportunities in the market, the process of providing that product and service becomes even driven by numbers. So what do you plant? How do you plant it? How do you go through the process of farming? That's what Pythagoras was trying to tell us. That if the world is made up of numbers, it means that agriculture is nothing but a business of numbers. If I have the data about the soil, I will be a better farmer. If I have the data about the climate, about the weather system, I'll be a better farmer. If I make decisions, not by the intuition of ancestral norms and covenants, and then I use data to drive how I bring the combination or recombination of factors of production in that agricultural process, I'll most likely be a better farmer. So we think that the numbers that you have in your farm become the elements and compacts for you to build the future food system. And I will give you a case study of the work I have done in this space, making it a little bit more practical for us to understand that we are not in the postulation of just talking about the data ecosystems, but there are actually things which are happening to make those things come into pass. We know one thing already, that we are going to face a food crisis. The population growth is rising largely faster than even the food production. In short, they estimate that by 2050, there will be 9.1 billion people on Earth. And it is estimated, but according to the Food Agriculture Organization, that we need to ramp up agricultural productivity by up to 70% if we need to be at parity and equilibrium with the current state of things. And if you go back to your secondary school agricultural science, they mentioned a man called Reverend Mathis. Reverend Mathis was the man that gave us the postulation that the food production was growing in arithmetic progression while the population was going in geometric population. If you remember his postulation, he was saying that if something was not done, that the world is going to be in a state of extreme hunger and poverty. But good enough, Industrial Revolution came, so many beautiful things that man was able to ramp up food production to the state where we did not get into that apocalypse as postulated by Reverend Mathis. But a place like Nigeria today, for instance, what he said to a large extent is actually happening. If you look at the GDP growth in Nigeria and the population growth in Nigeria right now, our population growth is growing faster than our food, our economic opportunity. So economic, not necessarily full economic opportunity, but you can extrapolate that when the economic opportunity is lagging, the capacity for people to actually provide economic opportunities means that people are necessarily not having an opportunity to eat good food. So a generation of people are getting poorer because if the GDP stalls and population continues to increase, when you run the numbers, divide the GDP by the population, you get what they call per capita income. And if the per capita income drops over generation, it means that people are getting poorer. It means that hunger is being scaled from the north to the east, to the west, to the south. And that is a very big challenge. Because if that happens, one thing is going to be the outcome. Pockets of problems because the stomach is empty. And that is the reason why you just see all kinds of things happen across the nation, because people are hungry. And people are hungry. Their souls and their minds now become instruments for people to manipulate them. I'll tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, there has never been a will for any man who is hungry, because most times everything fades when you are hungry. That means you become a tool for people to use you. So we need to fix this paralysis to make sure that we can drive this agricultural production. And that is why what Farm Connect is doing becomes exceedingly amazing. And that's when I see people that are doing things in this space, it tells you this is one of the most important causes you can have in a nation, especially in one like Nigeria. Because if we cannot feed our young people, if we cannot feed our elderly, it looks very, very dim, because everyone needs to be well fed before he or she gets back to bed this evening. So I'll give you a case story here. So what did we do over this? So I created a company, it's called Zenvos. Zenvos is basically our own way of using data to demonstrate everything that we are talking about, the implication in a more practical sense, to explain to you the hypothesis and also bringing that constructs into markets. So if you put our sensors in the soil, they collect information like temperature, moisture, humidity. And as the crops begin to grow, we also have cameras that help you get data about the vegetation of the farm. We combine that data from the soil with the information that we have gotten from the vegetation of the farm, we get a 360-degree understanding of the state of the crop. So what we are trying to do here is to return back to this postulation by Pythagoras that if the farming systems are numbers, we can now make it easier for farmers to make decisions based on data. And why is it necessary? Because instead of people, especially in the southeastern part of the country, during the farming season, they gather in communities, they go and buy goats and buy fowls, and they want to talk to the gods and say, we want to have a better harvest. They killed the animals, they sacrificed to the gods, and now as the God of harvest, this year will be better. You know what has happened? For generations, people have remained very hungry. People have underperformed in the agricultural system, even though the gods continue to get their goods and continue to get their fowl. Because the gods are not necessarily going to do magic, because you have not shaped and changed your farming system. If you continue to use cutlasses and hoes and continue to do guesswork in farming, the gods will not suddenly come to become the seers that will help you to understand the data in your farming system. If the crops say they need nitrogen and you are not giving them nitrogen, if they say they need potassium, you're not giving them potassium, they need a little phosphorus, you're not giving them phosphorus, whether you have sacrificed a cow or a goat will not change the outcome. So we want people now to begin to make decisions, not through ancestral norms and practices, rather through what data is telling them. That is now a critical part when we now have this vote. So you put the data, this is just a picture of how the whole evolution came. So this is what you have at the end. You put this device here in the farm, it takes the data, it sends it through Wi-Fi, GSM, or satellite. It comes into your server, and when it comes to server, we have some artificial intelligence that makes it possible to know what is going on. So if you have a ZenVos tells you, okay, this farmland, it has urea. You don't have to bring in nitrogen in fertilizer because you already has it. But it can also tell you in the next 3 days, it's going to rain. So please don't go and apply fertilizer today because the rainfall is going to wash it out. So you just wait after the rain. It can also tell you, a farmer, hold on. We are estimating that this rainfall is going to be in the next 6 hours, so there is no need of doing irrigation today. It can also give you the capacity to know what, when, and how to farm. So by bringing the data insight, we now make it possible that even when you have not gone to the gods and to the ancestors to give them the goods, after you have, usually what they do is that they kill the goat, they eat the goat, and they drop the bones for the ancestors. And they now still say, hey, our ancestors make this year a bumper harvest season. And I always tell people, your ancestor died very, very poor. Because they are now dead, does it really mean that they will become rich to make you rich? I don't think so, because they were not even great farmers when they were alive. That they are dead, that does not qualify them to become very good farmers to make you rich. So we want to believe that data has the opportunity to drive that efficiency and the utilization of factors of production. And the utilization of factors of production here is, how do we now make sense to know what the farming system wants? So from irrigation to optimization, telling you every element ZenVos gives. And when you have actually gotten the crops growing, you can now also take the Vensus camera. We designed this camera from scratch. It has more sophistication, more technological capability than most of your smartphone. And so you just take a walk around your farm, put a ZenVos system, you can put it on a drone, you can put it on a bamboo stick. It takes the image of your farmland. And when it takes the image of your farmland, we build what they call normalized different vegetation into the computational model that will now make it possible that you can see where the crops are having issues or pests or diseases, or where they are lacking water. And using that insight, you can now do better things. So this is what is going on here. Below the surface of the earth, the ZenVos Smart Farm gives you what is happening on the terms of nutrition, terms of nitrogen, terms of phosphorus, terms of water content, terms of humidity, terms of pressure, and then above the surface of the air, of the soil, you have the vegetation. You get a camera. You concatenate them. That's the word we use in electrical engineering. Concatenation means you bring that data together, and when you bring that data together, you have a 360-degree understanding of the state of the farm. And when you have the 360-degree understanding, you have returned back to what Pythagoras was talking about, that everything is nothing but numbers. It means that your farmland is now a number. You know where the crops are struggling. Oh, it doesn't have enough water. Okay, in the next 3 days, it has to be irrigated. If you do not want to lose your yield by 10%, okay, oh, it needs phosphorus and the nitrogen. So you have to add fertilizer if you want to make sure that the yield has to stay as promised. You know, oh, okay, we are seeing issues of pests. Please just go and immediately and make sure. So there are things your eyes cannot see. The Zenvos brings those things. And then we have built an end-to-end system that made it possible that even when you have harvested the crops, Zenvos can actually track to the position where this. I'm not here to sell you anything, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm trying to bring this data ecosystem into a live conversation so that most of our members here do not think of esoteric academic enterprise, that many people are working in this. And this is what we do. And our markets, we sell in Europe, we sell in the United States. So let me now tell you how everything fuses. I think I have about 3 more minutes or so. What is happening here is evident. When the farmer uses Zenvos, we give them what they call this Z manager. Z manager is to turn farmers into business people. It's like a diary. We give them access into Z prices, giving them opportunity to see how prices of things they are producing, those prices across communities. We give them the opportunity of Z insure to insure their farm, Z markets to serve. So you harmonize all that data insights and you begin to create an ecosystem where that data that Pythagoras was talking about becomes evident. So in business system, we will have the capacity to fix friction, but it turns out that your ability to fix friction will be dependent on your capability to understand what the frictions are. The frictions of a farmer are rooted in the misalignment on his expectation of what the farmland has. And for him to fix that perturbation, in electrical engineering, you have to introduce a little kind of loop system. The loop system means this is what I have done as a farmer. This is the outcome the crops are seeing. I need to go and adjust something at the input in order for me to make sure that I get the right output. As you continue that process, it's called a feedback system. It's called optimization model. And then if you do it very, very well, the outcome will continue to maximize. And if the outcome continues to be maximized, it means that your yield becomes great. It doesn't just mean it has to be only in crop farming. If you go into animal husbandry, you can also see that there are sensors which are used in farms. In all pigs, in goats, in cow, people are using these data systems, sensors to collect the data, and they now make sense of it. And finally, the point is this: from the east to the north, from the west to the south, there are latent opportunities that for Nigeria to actually scale this agricultural productivity by boosting, I would say to a large extent, even up to factor of 4, our yield. Little things can actually make herdsmen, can make local farmers become business people and not just our custodians of culture. The farming, subsistence farming is nothing today to most people. My grandfather did it, my father did it, I have to do it. It doesn't matter whether they did it and they were poor and they could not even afford decent food, and you are doing it. We want them to say, hey, I am a businessman, I'm a man of numbers, I have my accounting system, in this agricultural system, I'm going to be profitable this year, and I'll send my kids to better schools. I'll make sure that if my wife is sick, she goes to a better hospital because I'm a businessman. I am not just a custodian of culture. I am a businessman. We want them to become farmers who are entrepreneurs, who see the numbers which matter. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what I will end it. I want to thank you so much for the opportunity. And I want to thank once again Farm Connect for bringing us into this festival to discuss the mechanics of market systems and how we can build leverageable factors to drive the efficiency in farming, which remains one of the most important industries in our existence. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prof, for that wonderful and insightful presentation. For me, it's you never disappoint. When you come up as a professor, you give illustration that make the main lessons of your presentation vivid to those that are listening or watching. So I want to thank you, Prof, once again for that beautiful keynote on the big data ecosystem in the agriculture sector. There's a lot of takeaways from what you have said. And most importantly is that Africa has a large need for food production and food security. If I got you correctly, you said right now the agricultural sector in Africa is facing the challenge of feeding close to 1.2 billion people on the continent. And of course, 70% increase in food production by 2050 must be achieved on the continent of Africa if we are to survive and fill the stomachs, if we don't want to have so many empty stomachs on the continent. And of course, you also let us realize how Farm Connect is trying to fix a particular friction within the agriculture sector. What I could take away from there is that for agriculture to become smarter or to become smart on the continent, we need to know the numbers. We need to move agricultural practices from guesswork in farming to a practice that is driven by data. In all ramification, we must understand the soil in terms of numbers, the data, the content, and of course, we must understand the crop growth, and of course, the financial services. I know that our participant this morning would have gained a lot listening to you. So thank you very much, Prof, for that wonderful presentation. Of course, I know that people would actually want to ask questions, but the program schedule given to me here has a segment on discussion, question and answer session after the workshop. Yes, we should be shooting straight away to the workshop. However, we don't want it to be speech back to back from the chief webinar planner, welcome speech, to the chief host speech, to the keynote speech. We want to have a very short light water break. And so in the next 2-3 minutes, I'm going to be, we are going to go on a break with a short video I'm going to play from my hand. We quickly come back, and after that, we go to the workshop. We go to this workshop straight away. Here is the video. When we come back, we go to the workshop.
Open data is data that anyone can access, use, and share. That's both technically.
Oh, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, for the technical itch. I don't know why the video refused to show. I actually shared it, and it was reading. Okay. The audio is not coming up. Ismail, I think we need to suspend the video so that we can move ahead with the program, please. Please stop the video because the video is showing, but we can't get the audio.
All right, Mr. Adebi. Hello?
The knowledge that is being disseminated on this first in the series of webinar to be organized by FIDAS. I shortly after Professor Ndubusi finished his presentation, I saw our chief host hand being raised. I don't know if you can bring it on quickly to chip in whatever his points or make observations before we move to the next program. Mr. Oluwole Aziz, sir.
Well, I'm sorry. I wanted to make a comment before Professor left. So since he has left, it was meant to be directed to him. I'll find means of talking to him at the back end. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. And we are sorry for that mix-up.